My name is Samy Nemir-Olivares, and I'm running for New York State Assembly, representing Assembly District 54. That includes here in Bushwick, Cypress Hills, and East New York. We are at Irving Square Park, which is at the heart of Bushwick. And I'm running to make sure that New York State government treats housing, healthcare, and education as a human right. I became a DSA member since 2018 after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Julia Salazar's electoral victories showed us that there is a different path to be in politics, that we could fight for radical change and transformational change when it comes to fight for the people over profits. And I became involved in different fights, such as divesting from incarceration and criminalization, to investing in our communities, the 2019 rent laws with the SA housing, justice for all, and against the North Brooklyn pipeline through the fight against fossil fuel companies. The importance of this race for DSA and for our communities is that this is a working class community. Over 50% of the district lives under the line of poverty. Over 70% of our districts are tenants. And there is a lot of huge disparities when it comes to education, access to higher education, and when it comes to health. We have a lot of preventable deaths in our community. So the district is 50% Latino and 30% Black. This is the communities that we want to be organizing to fight back against a broken economic system that is exploiting our workers, our families, and that is not working for us. I think the importance of building with New York City DSA is that we will be accountable to a larger movement, and that we will be organizing in a multiracial and multi-generational movement. That it's very important to make sure that we're not just accountable to donors and to private interests and real estate developments or the fossil fuel companies or corporations, but that we are accountable and building with the people. And I think that it is also an opportunity for organizing beyond electoral work, that there is so much that needs to be happening, and like that we're connected and plugged in with grassroots movements that are fighting for justice when it comes to housing, when it comes to education and criminalization, incarceration, as well as climate justice. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity to really continue to grow our movement of based on working class lens and against the current broken economic system. We have seen an incredible resurgence and growing movement of people really engaging into the electoral system that were not before, particularly young people, people of color, LGBTQ people, Black and brown people that were disinvested from the political system because of the status quo and the establishment really not being attuned to the needs of our community. So through the New York City DSA slate and the Socialist in Office Committee, we have been able to elect extraordinary advocates, grassroots organizers, nurses, teachers, that really are fighting the fight, being fearless and outspoken, not only in their communities but in Albany, and really organizing to win material needs and changes, such as the less is more criminal justice reform bill that Assemblywoman Farah was able to pass, and like the example of Senator Julia Salazar fighting for a good cause. They are demonstrating that a new way of doing politics is possible, that a new vision of politics, that it is rooted in people, in solidarity, in compassionate politics, are possible. And I think the lesson is that we need to get more involved and activate and continue to organizing, and making sure that after we get those voices at the office, then we need people to come and support and push those other elected officials and the government to really advocate and pass and fund the programs and the laws that our communities need. So it's not enough electing someone, but we need to continue building. I think we have seen a lot of victories in New York City because it predates a lot of organizing, and there is a lot of young people, activists, advocates, artists, and our communities. And New York City is the capital of the capital of the world of capitalism, and it is where that broken system is the epicenter. So I think that we see firsthand the impact that that broken economic system has on our communities, and that there is this convergence of grassroots organizers, community-based organizations, and leftist thinking, right? That students, people with disabilities, immigrant communities, that all are struggling and seeing the impact that capitalism is doing, particularly in the city, that it should be perfect and rich and wonderful, and people come to live the American dream, and then instead we get an American nightmare. Of struggling to pay rent, to be unemployed, and to being evicted. So I think a lot of people see firsthand those injustices and the struggle, and really are very compelled to stand up, to fight back, and to organize. One of the most memorable moments of the campaign for me was canvassing, knocking on a door, and it was like an elder woman, and we started talking, and she was sharing how high her rent was. She was paying over $2,000 in a second floor, and then she started sharing that she missed organic food that she used to receive. And then I asked her how many bags, and she said 3, and I was like, oh. I think I know what that food was from Bushwick Ayuda Mutua. The senior who, used to receive the food of the mutual aid food program that I co-founded during the pandemic, and we did it for 2 years, and it's still going on, but because of the funds and because of, the nature of mutual aid has not continued to do so. But that was a fully 100% community-led project during the pandemic, because the government and the state government didn't really do enough to make sure that people were fed, that we had a food justice program. And it was really sad to see the negligence and the absence of the government when it comes to food justice and nutrition during the pandemic. It was very beautiful to meet one of the people that were benefited or impacted by this program, but at the same time, really outrageous and mad that the program has to end because it was just volunteer, led, and that the government hasn't really put the resources that it requires to make sure that people are healthy, that they have something to eat, which is one of the most basic needs for human beings. If we were able to feed over 7,000 families with food, just with very small donations from Bushwick people, families, if we fund these programs at the state level, we could really satisfy most of the basic needs of our people. Hola, joven, ¿usted vota en la elección? No, todavía. Pronto. ¿Y en su casa no votan? Tampoco, okay. I think we're in a very exciting moment politically and movement-wise. I hope that we can continue to expand the electoral work and getting elected organizers, nurses, teachers, mothers, and working class candidates that will really go and fight for the basic needs and also for opportunities for our communities to thrive, because unfortunately we continue to lose a lot of people that are disengaged and disinvested from the political process because they don't see themselves, they don't hear what the struggles are in those elected officials, and we need to change that mentality. And I think that we can continue to show that there's an alternative and that there are people ready and willing to fight for what's right, for justice, and that we could lead with compassionate politics, with solidarity, and with empathy.